Welcome to Monster Monday. Tonight I'm going to be talking about Annihilation, which was my third favorite film of 2018 on my top 25 horror films of 2018. And anybody who wants to argue with me on whether or not this is a horror film can go right ahead, but I don't see an argument. I think that this film is terrifying in so many ways. Now, this is a film that would be better suited, in my opinion, for a podcast type format or setting, because this is the kind of film that you want to bounce ideas off of friends. And this film is so beautifully intricate and loaded with symbolisms and metaphors that you could draw from and theorize on all damn day long, and you could really get deep into this and just try to break down every little element of it. And doing it here by myself feels almost wrong, but I picked this as my Monster Monday, and I'm going to do my best to talk about this on my own. And now, I had seen Alex Garland's last film, Ex Machina, a few years back, and just thought it was yet another thought-provoking, beautiful film. And when I had heard that this was going to happen, I was very excited. Starring Natalie Portman, which I had an enormous crush on growing up, and Jennifer Jason Leigh, which is one of my all-time big crushes. The woman is just beautiful and always a treat to see in any film. And then I saw that Oscar Isaac was going to be in it, and I was just, if I wasn't already on board, Poe Dameron himself is going to make me even more interested. I tried to avoid as much promotional material as I could on this. All I saw was some images, and what I had taken from them is that they were gorgeous to look at, which is pretty true of this film. This film is very, very pretty. It's beautifully terrifying. Now, as far as the metaphors and symbolisms throughout the film, I feel like there's so many ways that you could take this movie. And as I said, it would be fun to bounce ideas off of somebody who also had a similar experience, and their mind was racing in a million different directions while this movie was on. And I think that, the obvious metaphor of the film would be cancer. Cancer is a reoccurring theme throughout the film. Natalie Portman's talking about, or Lena is talking about it with her students in her class in the beginning, some 30-something-year-old woman with cervical cancer. And then also Ventress, Jennifer Jason Leigh's character, we find out has cancer. And the way that the cells duplicate themselves and annihilate other healthy cells and whatnot is very indicative of cancer. So and you could view the shimmer itself as a cancer that is spreading on the earth and ultimately will annihilate the species, a doomsday of sorts, which is a completely new version of the alien attack as we know it. We're so used to invasions from Mars that just come in and take us by force, and this is such a different animal altogether. There's also metaphors of relationships and almost the dedication of the humans' self-destruction, like humans' dedication to self-destruction, should I say. Because when you see Lena enter the shimmer for the very first time, the very next scene that we see is her destructing her what we know to be her perfect relationship with her husband, who seems to love her and she loves him. And here we see images and a scene of her having an affair on him and her regretting that decision and becoming a person that she hates. And within the shimmer, she gets to see a copy of herself that she ultimately wants to destroy. And once that's destroyed, she is able to leave and be with her husband again. So you could take it as a relationship metaphor. You could take it as a cancer metaphor. You could take it as, I mean, it's interesting to look at it in all these different ways. And the refraction of light also being brought up within the film when the doctor there, or the one of the girls that's in there with them, talks about how this thing reflects. I keep wanting to say refracts. It's a fucking hard word to say. I want to say reflect and refracts, and I keep saying reflects. That's fucking awful. Anyway, that this thing refracts all lights, all radio waves, and even DNA. And within the film, you see their relationship almost signified through their hands and their wedding rings on the table, refracting through the glass of water. And that same, like almost identical same water is drank by both of them through the film. And as I said, you could really go in depth with that, because he bleeds into the water like he's been injured, and hers is, it's as I said, like, it's hard because I want to go off on so many tangents here, but I'm trying to keep it as contained as I can and stick to what I've gathered so far without trying to get too nuts. And why I would pick this for a Monster Monday is because the bear in this movie was the scariest fucking creature of 2018 to me. Now, the one in The Ritual was my favorite, like, design. I thought it was so cool and interesting and unique and whatnot, but the bear in this movie is absolutely horrifying. And the idea behind the bear, the melding of different species and all sorts of different things. I mean, when they address this moment where this woman is taken off and killed by this bear, and the only thing that retains of herself is her last, most miserable, depraved moment where she's crying out in agony, and that's the only thing that's retained and taken in by this bear. And so that's all that's left of her is her own misery, which is just an awful thought, and it very much is embodied by that just horrifying creature that comes out there. So that thing alone to me was worthy of a Monster Monday because of how monstrous I found and how beautiful that's just it. Like, you could also take this as, earlier in the movie they talk about how God couldn't make mistakes, and Lena actually contradicts Cain there and says that aging is a flaw in our gene, and that if you could alter it, then you would become immortal, which I've heard there's supposed to be some truth behind that. And so in the movie, I almost have to wonder if this is like God sending down something to, force us into that next stage of evolution, where we would be perfected into, better species by connecting us and taking one thing from one and one thing from the other and making a better version of it, and replacing humans replacing animals, replacing things. Like, they're replaced by these clones, but I don't know what those clones are. I don't know if everything becomes a clone. I don't know in which time in the film they even become clones. There's the moment once they go into the shimmer, when they get into their, they wake up in their tents and they look and they say, we've been here for at least 3 or 4 days, and not one of them remembers even entering the shimmer. So you could argue that they became clones during that 4-day period, woke up and didn't know, because later in the movie, especially at the very end of the movie, when Lena is talking to Kane, her husband, she asks if he is Kane, and he's like, I don't know. And he genuinely doesn't. He doesn't think he is, but he's not 100% sure. And he asks her if she is, and she doesn't respond, because she doesn't know if she is. So it's much like something like maybe The Thing. I feel like this is a more... The Thing is such a critically acclaimed love... Well, not critically acclaimed, actually. That movie was pretty panned. But it's such a beloved film by horror fans. Me especially. It's to me, probably the greatest horror movie ever made. So I hate to say this like I'm knocking the movie or something, but it feels sometimes like a more intelligent version of The Thing in a lot of ways. And well, not in a lot of ways, but in a few ways. But yeah, just when did they become clones? Were all of them clones? Were some of them clones? Was Lena a clone? I also theorized in the opening that, maybe the person with cervical cancer is Lena. I mean, it's a 30-something-year-old woman with cervical cancer, and she is a 30-something-year-old woman. And when they go into the shimmer, the two people who seem to be the least affected by this cancerous growth on the earth are these two women, one of which we know has cancer, and the other one, who knows, maybe she is the one with the cervical cancer. I'm just throwing that out there as a rare, totally random idea, but I found it interesting that they both seem to be unfazed by it until they got all the way to the lighthouse, and the other ones were like, one of them was like growing freaking leaves out of her arms and all sorts of weird shit, and the other one said that like her fingerprints were moving and her skin was possibly changing, and so Lena and Ventress seem to be unfazed. And of course, when I hear the word Ventress or the name Ventress, I immediately have to think of Star Wars, the Clone Wars. So and probably my favorite Star Wars book, Dark Disciple. So fans out there of that book or that TV series, give me a little comment below. I love that damn show. You got it right there, as you can see. Anyway, I haven't even looked at my damn notes once. I'm just like going off of what I literally just finished the movie a minute ago, like right before I came down here and pressed record. And I haven't seen it since theater. I bought it on Blu-ray during Black Friday for like $7. Me and this other guy were looking for the movie. I talk about it in my my Black Friday finds video that I did. But yeah, it's just my brain was like on fire when this movie ended. I was like, holy shit, man. I haven't had such a thought-provoking movie in a while. And to sit here and talk about it by myself, it just feels weird. I want to talk about it with people. But I committed to Monster Monday, and tonight I had to do it right now. Let me look through. I don't know. Let's see. I don't know. There's so many beautiful shots in this movie. I love the structure of the flowers into human bodies and these like deer-looking things that would have like flowers on their antlers, and the crystal trees that are like shimmering off of little stuff that come off of these trees that are down there. And when oh man, one of the coolest shots, a very Thing-like moment, is when they find that body, and they find some found footage. Okay, this is like found footage within a movie. and she sees her husband in there and cutting this guy open, and he's got little snake-like intestines. And one of the crew that's with them is like, no, that was just a trick of the light, like, no, Anya, right? That was her name. It was just like, no, this girl was fucking losing it at this point, which any of us would. But yeah, the thing they find after they saw that her husband cut him open and had this thing, and they go down into the pool, and this thing has grown into the wall like a fungus, but a beautiful fungus, and it's growing up, and its body had like ripped itself apart. Very, as I said, very John Carpenter, The Thing, but much more beautiful, much more pretty. The Thing obviously is much more disgusting and vile, which is fantastic, don't get me wrong, but this is much more beautiful. And it's like grown up the wall, and the spine is like elongated, and the whole body has like moved away from itself, and the jaw has been ripped away, and the head is like up here, and it's so damn cool. I mean, whoever worked on this film and had to work on that kind of stuff must have just had a fucking heyday. Must have just been like, run wild with it. Come up with the most beautiful imagery you can create, but also make it dark and kind of scary as well. Oh, so cool. As I said, the structures of the people tree, flower things, awesome visuals, man. Just stunning to look at. And this is that kind of film where, I never hear anyone complaining about CGI in this one. Everyone, fucking CGI, this and that. I didn't hear a damn word against the CGI in this. And, some of it, well, it's just not shit. Very few movies you see today have shit CGI, but you still complain about them. I don't know why some movies get a pass and other movies don't. Maybe because this one has a story, right? And the other ones are just CGI fests. I get that. I'm not saying that, but I guess there's my answer. I answered my own question. But yeah, I love it. I don't really have any issues. Oh man, the bear, when it attacks Anya and it grabs her and she's like, trying to fire into it after she's going to kill them because they've kept a secret from her, and the thing grabs her jaw and rips it off of her body. Oh shit. And then the other girl grabs the freaking gun and just unloads a machine gun right into the side of its head, and it's just like the whole face is ripping apart as it's going. That is horror, man. That scene alone is horror. So I just disagree when people say this isn't horror. There's so many sequences that are horror to me. That crocodile that comes out of the water is crazy. It has shark teeth, like it's rows of teeth. It's the whole idea of like cross species. It's awesome, man. Just what a brilliant, beautiful flick. I can't get over this movie. I can't blow it enough, I found it very odd, and I don't know if this was just like a tattoo that other people in the military have or whatnot, but the tattoo that Lena has on her arm, the little snake eating itself in the figure eight there, the infinity snake, whatever, is on the soldier that is torn apart and made into like, that fungus flower thing in the pool. So that guy has the exact same tattoo as Lena, which, her husband, I think Kane, has that tattoo, yeah? So if Kane has that tattoo and that thing has that tattoo, was that the first clone of Kane? And the one that's in the lighthouse, is that the second clone that's talking to possibly the third clone of Kane? Was Kane just multiple different clones before he came out of there? And another cool thing is that when Kane comes out of the shimmer, he seems to have some memory. Of course, he goes to her house. He knows where she lives, everything. He knows how to navigate to get there. But he's dying. And once the shimmer is eradicated, his vitals improve and he gets better, and she can leave and she's okay. And throughout the film, you are wondering, like, why isn't anything coming out of the shimmer? And I think the answer is because A, you're getting disoriented and you can't really find your way out. But even if an animal was to wander out or anything, I think they just die outside of the shimmer. I don't think they can survive while outside of that perimeter. And once the thing is eradicated, whatever is still alive outside of it, I guess, is free to roam. Maybe not. I don't know. His vitals increase, so we have to assume that. Now, the whole ending with this clone thing, like Ventress is down there in the little whole pit thing, and she vomits up this light that mutates into these cells that form into this sphere-like thing that is almost like a black hole clone structure, like a, oh my god, yeah, and then like a drip of her blood goes into it and it clones some version of what she is, but it only mirrors her, and it acts like it acts like a naive, trusting child. And I almost felt bad when she handed it the phosphorus grenade, and it just kind of sat there and looked at it and didn't know. And then when it turned around, it went off in its hand, just kind of stared at her like, what's going on? And then she just kind of walked around, and it burned up, and it burned, and it walked down, back down into its hole. And, you know, it's almost like we rejected the gift in a way. Like maybe this thing was here to make us better versions of ourselves, because even though those people died, maybe there were better clones of them that would be resistant to cancer, would be resistant to age, would be resistant, you know, and they don't even know the difference. They don't know the difference. They don't know if they're them or not. So if you don't know you are your own self anymore, and you have a better, healthier body, I don't know, does that make it you? I mean, I guess that just depends on if you believe in a soul and if that thing still possesses, you know, said soul. God, yeah, you could really break the shit out of this movie. This is that kind of science fiction that makes you love science fiction and you wish that there was more of it. This is, you know, science fiction is up there with horror for me, if not equal to horror for me. Science fiction, fantasy. I love this shit because I'm somebody who likes to overthink everything and look for every stupid little thing to be like, oh, this and that. And with these kinds of films, it's actually warranted. When I'm doing it on something like Happy Death Day last night, as fun of a time as I had doing that, I don't really feel like that's a complex film that requires as much thought as I may have put into it. But a film like this actually does deserve the breakdown, the analysis, the theories and wild accusations and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, I wrote down a ton of stuff here, but honestly, I just wanted to kind of go even off script. I know that I don't ever have a script. I try to stick to my notes, but this one, man, it really, really got me going. I will say this, a lot of amazing alien films start with an alien craft of sorts and seeing the outside of the Earth and this thing coming and making a landing on Earth. It happens in Predator, it happens in The Thing, and it happens in this movie. Okay? You get 3 shots outside the Earth and this freaking craft or whatever crashing onto the Earth. 3 fantastic films. This is, I mean, I really can't find any fault with the film. I mean, it's near perfect for me. It's such a fantastic watch. The performances are all amazing. The cinematography, the visual effects, the creativity, the multitude of different ideas and concepts and everything. It's all so wonderful. So it's hard to give this any negatives at all. I don't really have any. I can't come up with a single damn one. So what do you guys think? I know I said a bunch of crap. what is your interpretation of what's going on here? Do you think everything I said is completely bullshit and you kind of just take it at face value, or do you got a different one? I look forward to hearing what you guys think. So hopefully my rambling made sense, but as I said, I was just kind of trying to gather my thoughts and record them for you. I hope that worked for you guys. If it didn't, I don't really apologize. Fuck you. All right, guys. Good night.